Hello friends, welcome to our channel My TSPSC Preparation. This is our new day, new beginning of a new dynasty, which is Ikshvakus and their contribution. The last dynasty which we saw was the Shatavahana dynasty. People who are new, they are new to my channel, please go through the previous dynasties because those were the eras or the dynasties which came before Ikshvaku dynasty, today's dynasty. And coming to my introduction, my students or my people who have been watching my videos, they know what is the content about. And people who are new, let me just quickly tell you that my name is Sonali and I am going to be your mentor for Telangana history. And today is our day 1 of Ikshvaku dynasty. Guys, you see here the picture I have shown, right? The picture you see Ram and Lakshman, sort of, right? So this remembers us the Ramayana time. There is a reason why I have posted this picture. You can see this picture, right? So this actually has meaning and it has reference with the Ikshvaku dynasty. I'm posting these pictures because once you see the dynasty, you should get a flashback of whatever things we have learned till date, right? So yeah, coming to the picture, you see the picture of Ram and Lakshman. This is because the Ikshvaku people, they term themselves as a branch of Lord Rama. Where was Lord Rama born? It was in Ayodhya, right? So what Ikshvakus told is the Ikshvaku people, they are from Ayodhya place. That's what they referred themselves to be, the branch of Lord Rama. That's why they are closely relating themselves to Lord Rama. This picture means that. Yeah, moving forward, we are going to talk today about the resources or the inscriptions and what is the territory and what is their actual home, right? We have seen all this for Shatavahanas, the same we are going to see it for Ikshvakus. And what is their capital? Capital is the primary most important thing we have to concentrate about. We should be knowing what is the capital for each and every dynasty. Coming to resources, territory, well, that comes naturally when you know the time period. When you know a dynasty, you will understand the kings of those times, then it will come to you directly that these things happened those times and so kings were strong and probably those kings have overcome some other kings. So the chronology, you see, you will get it automatically. That's why it is very important to understand from day 1 whatever we have learned, right? So yeah, coming to the Ikshvaku sources, the main thing is they have actually come in and around the Krishna and Guntur region. That place they were actually ruling, okay? And as per Puranas, they were called as Sri Parvatiya Andhras. Why they were called Sri Parvatiya Andhras? Because they were actually ruling in and around, or they were residing in and around Nagarjuna Konda region, right? So that is why Konda means Parvat. Parvat means mountain. So this refers Sri Parvatiya Andhras. Where is Nagarjunakonda? It's in Andhra Pradesh. So that's how the term came to be Sri Parvatiya Andhras. And what are the various resources that we got for telling strongly that they existed, right? So those inscriptions were found in Jaggayapeta and Nagarjunakonda. These were written in Prakrit and Brahmi language. So with this, what are we saying? Sanskrit was not much profoundly used. So it means Prakrit language was mostly used and then it was Brahmi script. So you don't see any Sanskrit language here. But what again did we see in Shatavahanas? Their Sanskrit language was brought by one of the kings, and that king name is Kuntala Shatakarni, right? This is just a recap, okay? So yeah, coming to the inscriptions, what are the inscriptions we have seen? It's the Jaggayapeta and Nagarjunakonda. So where is Jaggayapeta, guys? This is in Krishna district and Nagarjunakonda is in Guntur district, right? Let me clear this off. Yeah, so with these inscriptions which Jaggayapeta and Nagarjunakonda inscriptions, what we can say is the Krishna and Guntur district side, whatever the Ikshvaku kings they were ruling, so they were very, very important. That's why these inscriptions was laid over there. Correct? And now the main important thing which I personally like about Ikshvakus is after the downfall of Shatavahanas, meaning as the Shatavahanas were declining, there were many small ruling dynasties, but coming over all those dynasties and establishing a place for yourself amongst those dynasties is very, very difficult, because you have to be approved by most of the kings, right? So the Ikshvaku kings performed Ashwamedha Yajna and Rajasuya Yajna. So with this, what we understand is he is actually approved as the king of kings by most of the kings, right? So coming up from small dynasties to be a well-known dynasty is very, very courageous and very brave. So that's the main characteristic I like about Ikshvakus. Okay, yeah. Coming to the coins which we found is it was in Nalgonda, Khammam. Okay, so actually what happened is we found coins in Nalgonda and Khammam. Now let me talk about a territory wise. When we are saying that coins are found in Nalgonda and Khammam, those kings must have ruled that place. They must have given the coins over there to their people, right? So that's why from this what we can say is Nalgonda and Khammam was under Ikshvakus. So we got an idea about the territory also. Let me show you the map also, right? So here you see Mahbubnagar, Nalgonda and Khammam. Actually this part was under the control of Ikshvakus. Okay, blindly remember this. Mahbubnagar, Nalgonda and Khammam, this part is coming under Ikshvakus. Moving back, so the coins we understood, it is Nalgonda and Khammam in Nelkondapalli, correct? And the temples, you see the temple Elishri at Ileshwaram, Nalgonda district, this is also very, very famous temples. This temple is also called as Mystery Island. Until Shatavahanas, I have never spoken about a temple. I have always pointed about Chaityas and Viharas. Those are nothing but the Buddhist temples. But during the Ikshvaku time, the temples also started to come up. So it is one of the revolution, sort of, you can say, right? So this was a revolution for Hinduism. So the temple Elishri at Ileshwaram was built by one of the Shatavahana's prime minister. There was a king named Ehubala Santamula, and his prime minister was Elishri. Who? It was Elishri, and he has built this Ileshwaram temple at Ileshwaram. Which temple? Elishri temple at Ileshwaram. Okay, so this one of the temples is very famous in Nalgonda district. And few historians like Dr. Bhandarkar and Rapson, they interpreted that they could be from the Surya Vamsha. See, these Ikshvakus, they did not come just like that. Whichever new dynasties we are looking into, they are all coming from north, because north side only we have land, and the south side what we have all water, right? So from north only people came and they have settled in the south side. That could be the only possible way. So that's why Ikshvakus were earlier from north, we can say, and that's how slowly they came to the south and they made their own territory. So probably these historians, Dr. Bhandarkar and Rapson, they also made an estimation that they could be from the Surya Vamsha of the Ikshvakus dynasty of North India, meaning from North India's Ikshvaku dynasty, this particular Vamsha, which Surya Vamsha they belong to. Okay, now you see the map where Khammam and Nalgonda Panigiri is present. I want to quickly show you the map structure where our Nalgonda and Khammam is present. Okay, so you see here, this is Nelkondapalli Khammam and this is Phanagiri of Nalgonda. Correct? So these are the places where we found coins. Okay. Moving forward, we are going to see what was their capital. So as per the inscription Nagarjuna Konda, we have got to know that Vijayapuri was their capital. Okay, this is very important, guys. Capital. What is the capital of Ikshvakus? It is Vijayapuri. Likewise, you need to know the capital of Shatavahanas. What is the capital of Shatavahanas? Earlier it was Pataliputra, later it was Dhanyakataka. Dhanyakataka is today's Amaravati. And then what is the capital of Asmaka? What is it? Bodhan or Pautanyapuri. And then what is the capital of Sabara kingdom? These all are very important. Okay, the capital is very important. So this is main point. This was asked in one of the exams also. You can just put 3-4 stars to this. Okay, and as per Itihasas, Itihas meaning history, Puranas meaning the history is when it becomes old. When it becomes old, then you call it as Puranas, because they become old, and that's how the name came, Puranas. So from Itihasas, we got to know that Ikshvakus, they actually ruled the north side area, where near north side Ganga side is there, right? Ganga river, there they have ruled Ayodhya, Kosala and Saketa Janapadas. I told you what does Janapada mean. If you are new to this lesson, please go back to the videos where I have explained where Janapada mean, and then come back to this. Okay, Saketa, Janapada, Ayodhya and Kosala. I told Ayodhya. From the first slide, how did we get to know that the Rama picture is here? Correct? So yeah, from Itihasas we got to know that they ruled Ayodhya, Kosala and Saketa Janapadas. And from Vayu Purana also we understood that the founder was of this dynasty could have been the 9 sons of Manu. Now you will ask me, who is Manu? Actually, the word Manu is derived from the word man. The existence of humans, right? The first person or the first man is nothing but Manu. So one of the 9 sons of Manu was the founder of Ikshvaku dynasty. This was told actually in where? Vayu Puranas. Okay, now coming to the Jain work Dharmamrutam, from Dharmamrutam work we understood that the capital was Pratipalpur Bhattiprolu. Where is Bhattiprolu, guys? This is in Guntur district. So as per this Jain work Dharmamrutam, we got to know that there were kings who were ruling the region Pratipalpur as their capital. And from the inscriptions we found from Pratipalpur or Bhattiprolu, we got to know that there was a king called Kubera, who was actually ruling their region. Okay, and he belonged to the Ikshvaku dynasty. In this slide we got to know the capital, who all ruled, and what are the works, what are the itihasas, what are the main sources of Ikshvakus. Okay, moving forward we are going to understand what is their home. Okay, what is their actual home. So you see the term Ikshvaku, right? So actually Ikshvaku means sugarcane. Okay, the word Ikshvaku, the meaning is it is related to a sugarcane. So from this name, what the historians they have interpreted is the tribal people who used to live in Andhra or the south region, they actually call themselves after the name of animals or trees, or wherever they have lived, they have named themselves with those names. So probably Ikshvakus could have been one of the tribes of Andhra region. So that's why they named themselves as Ikshvakus. Few say that Ikshvakus they have come from north, and few say that no Ikshvakus they are from south. So what is the actual home? The debate has been put pretty strongly. And finally what they have concluded is Ikshvakus, they must have come from north side, and they slowly by slowly they came to south, and they fought few small races like Saka, Yavanas. They fought here and there, winning over small tribes, and they made a place for themselves. And the language which they spoke, it was somewhere close to either Tamil or Kannada. Okay, it was close to their language. That's why they have given a conclusion that okay, Ikshvakus, they must have been from Dakshinapatha or the South India, right? So this was the story of the home region or the home history behind Ikshvakus. Okay, talking about few kings of those times. What we have seen in Shatavahanas, who was the last great king, it was Yajnashri Shatakarni. And seen the last three kings which we have seen is who? It is Vijaya Shatakarni, Chandashri and Pulamavi III, right? So when the Shatavahanas dynasty was in the state of end, like when it was declining stage, the things were not going fine at that time, meaning that Vijaya Shatakarni and Chandashri Shatakarni were not able to rule it properly, and there was a lot of confusion happening at that time because there was no strong king during that time ruling the kingdom. So at that time there was a king called Madari Putra Sakasena. He came and he occupied the Maharashtra and Telangana regions of our Deccan Plateau. Along with Madari Putra Sakasena, there was another branch of Shatavahanas who were ruling nearby to them only, meaning that now Madari Putra Sakasena, he is ruling Maharashtra and Telangana, right? That time Shatavahanas were ruling near places of Bera district. Okay, so they, meaning Ikshvakus and our Shatavahanas, they were ruling together side by side. What we have seen, what are the areas under the control of Ikshvakus? It is Khammam, Nalgonda and Mehboob. Okay, this picture you keep this in mind. And the founder of the Ikshvakus is Vashishtaputra Santamula. This is very important. Put 2-3 stars next to it. Very important. And this founder, Vashishtaputra Santamula, he actually has the title of Dakshinapadadipati. Remember, Dakshinapadadipati was also the title of Santamula I. Okay, about whom his wife has written in Naneghat inscription, who Naganika. Okay, and why this Dakshinapadadipati title was given to Vashishtaputra Santamula? People, they have anticipated that he must have conquered small regions like Saka, Abhira, Yavana, Gadarbha and Asmaka and Mulaka kingdoms, Kosala, Kalinga. All this, that is Khammam, Nalgonda and Mehboob. So these are all coming in the south, right? So that's why probably he has been named Dakshinapadadipati. And after Vashishtaputra Santamula, there were 3 other kings. So a total of 4 kings we got to know about, and 3 other kings, their information was actually not known in any of the inscriptions. The sources for those kings were never found. So these 4 kings, they have ruled for around 68 years as per the inscription or the sources we found about them. And later there were 3 more kings who ruled for around another 30 years. So a total of, you can say, 100 years they have ruled. Who? Ikshvakus. So this is the starting or the emerging point of Ikshvaku. Okay, how did the Ikshvaku make their place in the history is after Shatavahanas were declining. They have emerged themselves. There were few other small community or races that were ruling, but establishing a good relationship with them and moving forward is very difficult, and it's an art which was very beautifully showcased by Ikshvakus. How did they maintain good relations? I told you in the very beginning. How can you maintain a good relation? When you establish a bond with them, when you establish or get into a relation with them, meaning through marriages. Marriage is one of the best options option to get in relation or to maintain good relationships with the kingdom. You see, Chandragupta Maurya, he has married a Greek king's sister. Okay, so these always brings profit when you are making or establishing a relation through marriages. It always works, many of the times it works. So that's the way they maintain good relationship. They emerged and they call themselves as the greatest kings of the Shatavahanas. So this is the end of today's lecture, and tomorrow we are going to look into the hierarchy of Ikshvakus. Okay, and if you want to stay updated with the content, please do like, share and subscribe to My TSPSC Preparation in YouTube, in Facebook and through the website, whichever format you want. The description, you can find it in the description section below. And stay tuned. Happy reading. Bye bye.